In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Realty Income, ticker symbol O. This is the fifth video that's a part of my portfolio reveal series where I'm doing an in-depth analysis of all 31 stocks currently in my own portfolio. If you're new to my channel, my primary focus is on income investing and also dividend growth investing with holdings that offer at least a 4% yield. As I'll say in every video in this series, this isn't done in any particular order. So just because this video is fifth in this series does not mean that this is my fifth favorite holding or fifth largest holding. Also note that because I own all these holdings, I am biased towards them, so do your own research before making any investment decision for yourself. Also, let me know if there's any improvements to this series I can make going forward. Feel free to check out last week's video, which was on Oaktree Specialty Lending Corporation, ticker OCSL. So logging into my Vanguard account where I do all my dividend investing, as of the making of this video, I currently own 430.397 shares of Realty Income. The stock pays monthly dividends, with their last being for 25.5 cents per share. With the number of shares that I own of Realty Income, I currently receive roughly $109.75 every month in dividends from this stock. For more than 50 years, Realty Income has been on a mission to provide stockholders with dependable monthly income and favorable long-term risk-adjusted returns. They're a real estate investment trust that focuses on acquiring freestanding, single-unit commercial properties leased to high-quality tenants under long-term lease agreements, typically in excess of 10 years. They're a triple net lease REIT, which means that they pass on the responsibility of paying taxes, maintenance, insurance, and other expenses to the tenants on their properties. Realty Income was launched back in 1969, and they launched their IPO on the New York Stock Exchange back in 1994. Realty Income's been my favorite equity REIT for many years now. It's not the highest yielding equity REIT that I own, but the reason that I own so much of it has to do with their solid performance. According to their website, they've seen a compound annual total return of 14.6% since being listed back in '94. They've also experienced a 4.4% compound annual dividend growth rate since '94. Realty Income's declared 634 consecutive monthly dividends as of the making of this video, and they've increased their dividend distributions for 102 consecutive quarters. This makes this company a dividend aristocrat for being able to grow their dividends for at least 25 consecutive years and counting. They're one of only a handful of companies to reach this milestone, with the others being Essex Property Trust, ticker ESS, with 28 years of dividend growth, and Federal Realty Trust, ticker FRT, with 55 years of dividend growth. And then there's also National Retail Properties, ticker NNN, with 32 years of growth, and then WP Carey is also about to become a dividend aristocrat. I consider all these to be good dividend stocks, but Realty Income is the only one that pays monthly dividends, and they're actually the only dividend aristocrat that pays monthly dividends. Realty Income has a cult-like following to it, which I'd consider myself to be a member of, and it helps pay for the retirements and living expenses of thousands of investors. A pretty common question I get is, what are my buy and hold forever stocks? And I honestly don't have any, because all companies can fall into scandals. But if I did have any buy and hold forever stocks, then Realty Income would certainly be one of those. It's a real estate investment trust that has a solid track record of solid dependable growth over the years. Today they're currently the fourth largest REIT in the world, and they have amassed an enterprise value of $60 billion US. They currently have 12,237 properties in their portfolio with 1,240 clients, and they have an occupancy rating of 99%. Realty Income holds a lot of properties that do well under a lot of economic conditions. Their top 5 industries include grocery stores, convenience stores, dollar stores like Dollar General, quick service restaurants, and drug stores. These are all businesses that will still need, no matter how bad of a recession we might eventually go through. People are still going to need to buy their groceries and pick up their prescriptions. Their largest tenants include Dollar General, CVS, Walmart, and 7-Eleven. They do hold some movie theaters, which I don't like to see, but they've been decreasing the percentage they own in their portfolio over the last few years. In the last couple years, Realty Income's been branching out into new areas to help grow their company. In 2019, the company decided to work on expanding their portfolio across Europe, and so far they've invested $6.8 billion in acquiring properties overseas. Today, their European portfolio has 271 real estate properties, and the UK makes up approximately 9.5% of their overall portfolio. Much like their strategy here in the States, Realty Income's been investing a lot in grocery and home improvement stores in Europe, with some smaller percentages in other sectors. In total, they've invested in more than 35 different industries in Europe, and they now list international acquisitions as being one of their company's objectives. In early 2022, Realty Income announced they had agreed to acquire the Encore Boston Harbor Resort and Casino for $1.7 billion under a long-term net lease agreement with Wynn Resorts. This holding alone now makes up 2.9% of Realty Income's overall portfolio. It was the company's first move into the gaming industry, which I think turned some heads as to this decision. According to Realty, they said the purchase was part of their expansion into new sectors, but it obviously wasn't as much of a recession-resistant holding as what they typically hold. Ultimately though, I do trust that Realty Income did their homework and decided that it was a good opportunity for them. The company also made the move in late 2021 to not only acquire another REIT called VEREIT and all their properties, but also spin off their office property portfolio into a new company called Orion Office REIT. If you held shares of Realty Income during this time, you also would have gotten some shares of this new REIT, which as you can see, it's done terribly since their IPO. This was ultimately the right move in my opinion because Orion's been struggling ever since they spun off of Realty Income. Realty didn't want to have to deal with these office properties, which they must have known weren't great. They have a low occupancy rating of 89% and they only have 81 properties in their portfolio, so it's a pretty small company. It would have made Realty look pretty bad had they decided to keep all these properties in their portfolio. More recently, the company formed an alliance with another company called Plenty, which is a corporation that owns vertical farms. Realty announced their agreement to fund up to $1 billion worth of property development for Plenty, who according to Realty are the leading company in the vertical farming sector. They seem pretty convinced that this new method of farming is going to become really popular, and that after seeing this part of their investor presentation, it does sound like a good opportunity. Apparently, vertical farming can grow a handful of different crops using a fraction of the land and water as a traditional farm and greenhouse would need. It also allows them to grow certain crops during all seasons since they're grown inside and there's no pesticides in anything that they grow according to their website. It's a good opportunity for the state of California, which is where Plenty is located, considering they often have water shortages. So overall, this might become a great opportunity for Realty Income if they can get good deals going on with Plenty. I wasn't familiar with what vertical farming was before hearing about this announcement from Realty back in February. Finally, one more recent development from this company is that they've been focusing more on what they call consumer-centric medical real estate. These are properties that include things like dentist offices, drugstores, pediatric care, and eye care. They included this slide in their recent investor presentation, which shows estimates on the aging US population. You can see the number of Americans over the age of 65 and 85 are expected to increase by a pretty sizable amount by 2030. The amount these people are going to spend on healthcare is only going to increase, which is why Realty Income believes that these properties are going to be ideal for their business. Probably one thing worth addressing is the debt they currently have. During periods of high interest rates, it can add a lot of pressure to REITs if they have a lot of maturing debt coming up. It's an issue that other REITs like SLG Realty Corporation I think are really going to suffer from in the coming months ahead. So for a REIT that has a lot of debt that's about to mature, it can cause a lot of concerns for investors. Fortunately for Realty Income, they don't have a massive amount of debt reaching maturity anytime soon. You can see they have some debt maturing this year and a bit more next year, but the big year for them is going to be 2026, which I'm confident we're going to be in a much better position economically. 85% of their debt is fixed rate, so they aren't paying higher interest rates right now on most of their debt. With that being said, Realty Income, I believe, is still in a great position. It's a company that's continued to stand the test of time, going through multiple bear markets and recessions without a single dividend cut. Their size and their long track record make them an investment that I sleep well at night owning. Although it's a much lower yielding stock compared to what I usually talk about on this channel, it does provide me with the dividend growth that I like to pursue on top of income. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up today's look at Realty Income. If you're interested, feel free to check out my Patreon where you'll find an Excel sheet of all of my holdings updated monthly. You'll also have the option of reading this analysis as well as every other analysis that I do in this series. Plus it'll give you access to our Discord channel where we discuss higher yielding types of investments. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you liked what you saw, then feel free to hit that like button below and click subscribe if you want to see higher yielding investing strategy content. Again, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and until next time, take care.